I think today one of the major challenges before the Dalit movement is that there is a massive shift in the Dalit position of the Dalit youth in a big way from 1990s onwards. The youth students from Dalit, ST, BC, lower BC background are entering into the university system. But the university system, the state university system, not only in Andhra Pradesh, in Tamil Nadu, in other states as well, even in Karnataka, because we go on visiting these places, doing seminars and all that, and get an opportunity to interact with the students and faculty there. The standards of these institutions have been declining phenomenally. I've been teaching in Osmania for the last 22 years. I comment with certain degree of authenticity that the Osmania University, which was basically an upper caste, upper middle class university in the 60s and 70s, when the medium of instruction was English and all that, has declined phenomenally by late 80s and 90s. In fact, South India is supposed to be much better in terms of the public education and especially the higher education. Nowhere comparable to the kind of pathetic situation that you find in states like UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh. One British political scientist, senior political scientist, was commenting that you cannot get a decent article on the state politics of these three states from any scholar working in any university in these states. If you want a decent article on UP, Bihar or Madhya Pradesh, you have to find somebody, maybe some journalist in Delhi. So that shows, that reflects the pathetic situation in which the universities are there. Not just the students, but even the faculty. The social ambition, the attitudes, the aspirations, students also have radically changed. This is not just because of the decline of higher education. It's also dialectically related to, in fact, it reflects in a dynamic temporal sense, the decline of public school education. Because the public school education also has attained certain kind of a very unfortunate homogeneity, in the sense that in the government schools, both primary and higher education schools, you'll find students coming from the SC, ST and lower BC background. The children of the school teacher do not study there. We did a brief study of schools in the villages in and around Hyderabad. We found that most of the school teachers live in Hyderabad. I mean, in fact, they have traveled 50 to 100 kilometers from Hyderabad to their school. By the time they reach the school, it will be 10:30, 11, and then by 3 o'clock they pack up. Maybe they just, it's like going for picnic. They go for, and they maybe teach a little bit and have their lunch, and then because of the train timing or bus time, they have to get back. So by 3:30 they pack up. So this is the kind of thing. Most of the teachers in and around urban centers do not live in the villages. They live in the towns, in the cities, where their children would. The reason, if you talk to them, the reason they give is that they won't get proper education in the children. That was not the case in the 60s, 70s. When we were students, the school teachers' children also used to study. So there was certain degree of personal involvement of the teacher. And since the school classroom used to have a heterogeneous kind of social composition, middle class children, government employees children, school teachers children, farmers children, agriculture laborers children, okay, Dalit children. So it's a very complex heterogeneous kind of. So because of this complex heterogeneity, students used to learn from each other. Today that is not there. What is there to learn? All these children come from very poor families, BPL families, so to say. So therefore, I think it is necessary to pay attention to this. The government is not at all interested in paying attention. In the last 2 decades, the school education and the higher education has become terribly hierarchical. It's in a total sense, it's reflective of the caste Varna system. Take Osmania University. No university teacher's child studies in Osmania University. No school teacher's child studies in the school in which he works. This is the situation. Most of the university children study, and there is also pathetic decline of humanities and social sciences, because no upper middle class child in Andhra Pradesh, and in South India and Delhi, the situation is slightly different in North India. Goes for humanities and social sciences. Even the professor of political science son would not study social sciences. He will invariably go for engineering. But this is also, in a sense, because of the political regime's direction during Chandrababu Naidu's period, because of the policy shift. Okay, there's a total radical shift in the middle class attitude towards higher education, because we have moved away. The attention has the middle class attention has moved away from social science humanities to managerial techno sciences. So that larger social shift is one of the causes. But in the institutional decay that we see is because of this homogeneity. Since the government is not interested, it's not that the government doesn't know. Government knows very well that because of this homogeneity, there won't be any internal dynamic, but the government is not interested in rectifying this. And I think that's a very clear policy shift in the government's thinking. Because if you look at the National Knowledge Commission report, okay, it talks about dozens of national universities, global universities, and centralism. Many centralisms has come up. Okay, so what would be the impact of the centralism? Would they expand the scope of higher education, or would they result in a social shift in the access to higher education? So most of the elite children would invariably go to the central universities, and the regional universities will be left to the children of the deprived and underprivileged sections. As a result of that, there will be further decline of these universities. Okay, and also because of the policies of the state governments in different states, there has been hardly any recruitment in the last couple of decades. Okay, so the best talent, teaching talent in these state universities also have seen moving away from the regional universities to central universities. So just imagine in the 70s when the Jawaharlal Nehru University came up in Delhi, it deprived of many state universities of their intellectual talent. Many brilliant professors, in fact, went to Delhi. Even today, we see the top intellectuals gravitating to Delhi. So that kind of intellectual centralization is very dangerous for a pluralistic society like India, a federal, pluralistic, complex society like India. So therefore, the establishment of central universities would not lead to the expansion and enhancement of the education standards, but would lead to a lopsided kind of uneven, lopsided development in the higher education scenario. And we must pay attention to this. I think this is the situation, both in school education and also in higher university education. This is the issue which the Dalit movement must pay attention to. Because today there is a flourish in the Dalit intellectual cultural activity. I mean, if you look at the Dalit writings, you will see the massive flourish in the vernacular intellectual creation of the Dalit. Poetry, fiction, analytical pieces in political economy. So there is a huge intellectual upsurge that we see in the Dalit. So therefore we need to strengthen these institutions. So that has to be done from the grassroots itself. If we do not have a good quality school education, we would naturally not be having the good quality higher education. Okay. Therefore, we need to, Dalit movement has to pay an attention, has to create a movement for quality school and higher education. That's the task of the Dalit movement. It's not just fighting against atrocities and Dalits. This is another form of sophisticated ideological atrocity. By creating central university, you are committing a different kind of intellectual atrocity. So therefore, I think, in fact, because of my involvement in the Dalit movement, I have been talking to the Dalit activists, and nobody seems to be realizing this. The importance of conducting a serious intellectual, ideological, educational struggle. Look at the experiments like Kerala Shastra Sahitya Parishad, okay, which led science movement in Kerala. It has massive impact on the Kerala society and culture. Similarly, we need to have a massive movement, some kind of cultural revolution for better quality education. I think this is the thing which we must pay attention to. Otherwise, we will be just bogged down in. It's not that they are not important. Fighting against atrocities is a very important issue. Fighting for reservations is a very important issue. But what is the use of reservations when you do not have access to quality education? So therefore, I think renaissance, some kind of rebirth has to happen there in the educational field. I think that is the point which needs to be taken cognizance of and paid attention to, and a movement has to be created with that as a principal aim.